and don't expect me to leave until it will be done.
Fine, but who are you? Show yourself.
Welcome to my lair. Cue intro.
As gamers, we face plenty of boss battles. However, since we all have different opinions, there are also those bosses.
Yeah, those bosses that you'd like people to stop praising them, and those bosses that you'd like people to stop hating or ignoring them.
For a boss to qualify, at least one of us has to have played the game, and the one per franchise rule is applied. This list isn't accurately both of our exact opinions, but of our combined opinions.
Also remember that this is only our opinion, so don't pretend that you'll agree with us, but just respect our choices.
Since all the explanations are over, we can start the list. Enjoy!
This is the first entry, and we are already probably going to make an entire fanbase angry. Why? Because number 5 is the final boss of Donkey Kong Country, King K. Rool.
This boss, just like every other boss in the Country series except for Dixie Kong Double Trouble, is just downright boring. All it includes is just avoiding its volley of attacks while running around the incredibly short battlefield, then jumping on him whenever you get the chance.
Another reason to why it's on the list is the music.
I'm sorry, but like I said before, Gangplank Galleon sounds nothing like a boss theme, let alone the final battle. And just when you think this terrible boss fight is over, it was revealed that he was only tricking you.
The fake-out credits were admittedly pretty humorous, but must we see them every time we get game over? Bottom line, this boss fight is terrible. It's not the worst boss in the series, but it's definitely the most overrated.
Yoshi's Island DS is a very underrated game. I actually do legitimately think it's just as good as the Game Boy Advance version. So let's talk about the boss fight with Molds the Very Goonie.
You're facing a giant Goonie while falling from the sky. How could that not sound awesome? We know he might be considered a mini-boss and all, but we still count him as a boss.
To attack this boss, you have to flutter above him or wait to ground pound so you can ground pound his head. And like most bosses in the series, every time you hit him, it feels incredibly satisfying.
After doing this, you will have to avoid a series of rocket guys. By the way, this is the one time in the game you can hit rocket guys with your eggs, so you can get them in the enemy museum. This boss is admittedly pretty hard, because you might accidentally ground pound down the pit, and it's especially hard if you're going for 100 points, which requires you to beat him without getting hit, but that doesn't ruin the experience.
Bottom line, this is in my mind the best boss fight in the Yoshi series. Better than even Ralph the Raven, and even better than the final boss in the original Yoshi's Island. Seriously, more people should get this game.
After the DK fanbase, we will make the Zelda fanbase angry, because this entry is from Ocarina of Time. But which boss are we talking about? Twin Rova?
A fun boss fight and good for being the last temple boss.
Volvagia?
While not one of my favorites in the series, the Whack-A-Mole style battle was fun, and I've heard there's even some backstory in the manga.
Ganon?
Shut up, that battle's awesome.
So that leaves us with only one praised boss.
Yeah, we said it. The fight with Phantom Ganon is an overrated boss fight. It was admittedly a unique boss at the time, but when people say what their favorite boss is in the game other than Ganon, people always pick this boss.
And that is something that baffles us. The boss is divided into two phases. In the first form, he tries to ride his horse out for a few different paintings, and you have to decide which one is the real one. The fake ones will turn back and you have to react fast enough to hit the real one.
Then the second phase begins. You have to play a game of Dead Man's Volley with him, which was really fun at the time, but throughout the franchise, this mechanic has been done multiple times, making it still fun. However, it would have been more fun if it wasn't done to death ever since. I can at least appreciate the first phase though. I don't like luck-based events, but this is more reaction-based. It is indeed a good phase.
But many people always regard it as the best boss in the game. Just why?
The next boss is from a Sonic game. However, you probably won't expect much because the game is Sonic 4 Episode 1.
Oh my god, I hate this game. Almost everything is a ripoff of the Genesis game, and not as good as it. The bosses are no exception either, like the first one being almost identical to Green Hill boss.
But in the end, you reach the final zone and what? It's the first boss again. Yeah, you have to do a boss rush, which many people, including the Guildmaster, find very disappointing. And you probably wonder, will the final boss be a rip-off too? Well, yes, but it's a good one.
I'll be honest, when I saw that the final boss was a rehash of the fight from Sonic 2, I was skeptical. However,
you shouldn't judge anyone by appearance.
Though the beginning is very similar to the fight in Sonic 2, except with rings and the homing attack. At least until you give enough damage to the robot and the second phase begins.
the robot goes completely insane and starts jumping back and forth. Also, the robot is electrified now, so to damage it, you have to wait until it launches its fist at you, and use the homing attack from them to stun the boss, and here's the chance to damage it. This can be tricky to do, since if you don't time exactly your attack, you might take damage, making this a very enjoyable battle. Maybe it's worse than the battle from Sonic 2, but it's way better than the one in Generations.
Seriously, Sonic fanbase? Even if Sonic 4 Episode 1 is terrible, that isn't a reason to overlook a rather enjoyable battle like this one.
Icarus Uprising is one of the best games on the Nintendo 3DS, though its bosses are rather standard-ish. However, there are a few praised bosses, and we need build-up for this one.
So yeah, to make it short, the goddess of light Palutena got possessed by a Chaos Skin, so you have to climb the temple to save her. Alright, this looks like a great build-up, so the boss battle will be amazing. Well, it's in the list for a reason. Many people say this fight is a challenge because of how you need to kill the Chaos Skin instead of her. You might accidentally kill her. Well, guess what? It's the exact opposite of hard.
The touchscreen makes aiming at the Chaos Skin rather easy and attack it instead of Palutena, so you're pretty much guaranteed to kill it instead. I know this game has some easy bosses, but you expect more from the Goddess of Light, and yet most of the bosses are actually harder than her.
Yes, challenge isn't the only thing that matters, but I expected that a goddess would pose some sort of threat. I'll give her one thing though. It was the inspiration for a very promising moveset in the next Smash Bros. Game, keeping her from being higher than number 3.
However, the battle isn't as good as people say it is. Even the fight against the Chaos Scene itself is better.